Okay, welcome to part two of our little Tale of Two Connors videos. Or two timers, whatever you want to call it. Um, so now we made the first one, and if you remember, we turned it into a movie clip. Now, what you should do in retrospect as you move forward with projects in Flash, you want to start by, as much as possible, think about turning things into movie clips at the beginning. So that way you don't have to put it all into the time frame and the main timeline and then cut and paste it out. So that's the way I would have done it. I would have made it as a movie clip right from the get-go. Now what I'm going to do here to make the second timer, the one that's up here that's going to go a bit slower, I'm simply going to duplicate this one. So I'm going to right click and duplicate it. I'll make a copy of it. And this one I'm going to call it counter slow. Alright, so I renamed it, duplicated it. So I have two of them, a fast and a slow. So I want to slow it down. So I'm going to double click into it. And this is where I want to talk about a little bit more about keyframes. So what you're happening here is with this keyframe, the reason it's going so fast is because I have one frame after the next, and it's just playing. And look down here, you may not have noticed this. This is telling you the frame rate, and it says 12 FPSs. What do you think that means? 12 frames per second, that's right. So that's what it's trying to do, is it's trying to play 12 frames every second. And I only have like 6 frames in this whole little quick little video here, movie clip. So the whole movie clip's only going to take like a half a second. So what I want to do is I want to do two things. First thing is I'm going to slow this down a little bit. I'm going to double click into it. And I'm going to make it nice and even. I'm going to make it 10 frames per second for this one, just so I can keep track of it. Now the second thing I want to do is I want to make each one of these counters, these numbers, stay up for 1 second. So that means, if you think about it, if it's playing 10 frames per second, I need this first frame to stay up for 10. I need there to be 10, basically 10 duplicates over and over again. And what you're going to do here is, since it's already made, I'm just going to try to follow along with me. I'm going to click on the second frame, hold down the shift key. So I'm going to select all of those all at once. I'm going to grab that first frame and move it all the way down to the 11th frame. See what happened? So frame 1 stays up now all the way to 10. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the background. Hold down the shift key, select them all, click on that first one and move as a group. So now, boom, the 5 will stay up all the way to 10 frames. So now it's going to stay for 1 second because it's playing 10 frames per second. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to move these guys down just past 20. And if you think about it, probably should go to 21, but whatever. I'm just going to keep it simple. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to move these guys down to 30. And I'll move these guys down to 40. And then I'm going to move this last one all the way down to 51. There. So now it should encounter slow. I'm going to just hit enter and try it. See how it's got to play through all of those empty frames. And if you remember, this is the point is keyframes, the way they work. If you have a keyframe here and then a bunch of blank spaces with that little rectangle, that just is going to take whatever is in the first keyframe and automatically copy it into all these frames. And then when you come up with a new keyframe, it's going to change. And it's going to automatically copy it into these frames and it's going to change. So hopefully by doing this, you're going to understand a little bit better how keyframes are working. And you can utilize them better now, more efficiently, more skillfully. And once again, if I was making this from scratch, I would have probably made this one first. And I would have made it into a movie clip and I would have just automatically done all those little spaces because I understand it. Now that you understand it, in the future you can do that too. So now I'm done with this slow counter. I'm going to go back to scene 1. I'm going to take the counter slow and I'm going to drag it out onto the stage. And it's very big. So I'm going to resize it. I'm holding down my shift key while I do that, just so it can stay. And just for consistency, I want to make them the same size. So I'm going to make this one just a little bit bigger, maybe about there. And I'm just going to look down here at the width. It's 284 by 207. So I'm going to basically try to duplicate that. well, 207 looks like it's a little tall, huh? How about make it a height of 200? And I'll make this a height of 200. How's that? Show frame. Move that up a little bit, move that down a little bit. There's a little bit of overlap, whatever. I can clean up a little bit more. Eyeball a little bit. Fine, good enough. And then I'm gonna do my last little step. I'm gonna save this first. Remember, keep saving it. I'm just gonna draw a line across the halfway point. Use my shift key, and then I'm gonna add in my little text layer. I'm just gonna call it Richter's timers, whatever. Richter's timers. And you know, I'm not worried right now because the text is all big, but I'm just gonna come down here, scrunch it down a little bit, and I'm gonna resize it, make it dark, maybe make it like about 55. So you know, you call yours whatever you want, you time it up. And now let's try and see if it works. I'm gonna do Control Enter. See, now it's working. So the one on the bottom is very, very fast because it's just playing keyframe after keyframe. Up here I've got the space, and if you timed it with a stopwatch, it'd hopefully be right about a second, 2, 3, 1, blast off. Now notice that blast off at the end. That is kind of annoying. The blast off just goes really fast and it comes right back to 1. Let me fix that real quick. Counter slow. So what's happening here is the blast off is it's going from here and it's automatically going back to here. So it's only playing that for just like one frame. I'm going to insert in a frame at the end, 10 frames down. So now it's going to hit blast off. It's going to stay, and then when it gets done here, it comes back and it loops to 1. And that's what movie clips do. They play through till the end of the timeline and they come back and they just keep looping around and around. I could tell to stop by putting an action on it if you remember how to do your actions. Let's try that again. Control Enter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. There. Pause. It looks good. It's done. So now I'm gonna. Everything's perfect. I'm gonna save it one more time. I did my Control Enter, so I already exported it. In case you need to watch this, you're done now, so you can link it up yourself. But if you need help how to link it up, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my Dreamweaver. I'm gonna start a new file. I'm going to save the file before I do anything else. Put it inside my flash buttons. I'm going to call it 2 timers. Save it. And now I'm going to take the one that I just made. I call it 2 timers 2. I'm going to drag it out onto the stage. I'm going to center it up just so it looks good. Save that again. Maybe preview it. See if it looks good. Looks good. And then I can open my home page. I think I have my homepage somewhere around here, that sample homepage that I have for y'all. Here it is, index sample. I'm going to roll down here. I'm going to add that in here. This is really Flash 3. Flash 2 is your photo viewer. So Flash 3, 2 timers. And now I'm going to highlight that and make sure you use the link button. Don't you accidentally use the BG, the background. And I'm going to link it, of course, to the green file. Where have I put the? There it is, 2 timers. Save that. Upload it. Since it's already open, I can just hit that blue arrow, say put, and the same thing for 2 timers. You can just hit the blue arrow and say put. Remember, you got to link up your blue cube first. So hopefully that is good to go, and you got it, and you understand movie clips now better, and you understand keyframes a little bit better.